What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 8 of the Downtown Browntown podcast. I'm your host, Downtown Brown, and today we're going to discuss the two-game matinee against the Detroit Pistons, the Bucks winning both of those games. So let's get started right away. Game 1, Bucks take 125 to 115. Giannis, your leading scorer, with 43 points, 17 for 24 from the field. Outstanding game from him. Middleton coming in with 19 points, and Drew Holiday with 15. Pretty well-rounded game for the Bucks here. Blake Griffin and Josh Jackson were both out for the Pistons in the first game of the series. Didn't really prove to be much of a difference between game 1 and game 2 from that perspective. Also, Killian Hayes, a young promising rookie for the Detroit Pistons who's been starting for them, got hurt during the first game and did not return and is going to be out indefinitely. So T's and P's to him for sure. A lot of good things to take away from this game. One of my main big takeaways is that Giannis was great from the free throw line, but like I said, it comes and goes. Obviously, last game, not great. So 7 for 9 from the free throw line is great to see from him, but again, Bucks fans are just going to have to live with the ups and downs that he has from the free throw line. And a trend that I've kind of noticed in the past of watching the Bucks and specifically Giannis at the free throw line is that if he gets those first two to fall, if he makes those first two, it usually sets him up for success. I really, like I said in prior episodes, I really think it's a mental thing with him. So if you see those first two fall, I think it's going to be a good shooting night for him at the line. But again, it's just I feel like it's all mental, and he's got that form, but he's just shooting it short a lot of the times, and it's absolutely frustrating to watch as a Bucks fan. I cringe when he's on the line half the time, but got to live with the ups and downs. He's a 2-time MVP for a reason, and if he can ever get a consistent free throw shot, look out NBA. Another thing that I really liked from the first game is Dante DiVincenzo was making plays all around the court, specifically from an assist perspective. He had 9 assists in the game. He kind of just let the game come to him. With a lot of the times in the past, he's been forced or pressed to take shots when sometimes those aren't the best plays to make on the court. I mean, this Bucks team has definitely, I've seen a trend this year of that they've been turning down good shots for great shots, and that's like a big like Coach Popovich kind of thing, or even like a Steve Kerr concept that the Warriors have run, is that you swing that ball all around the 3-point line and maybe into the post and turn down good shots for great shots, and that a lot of times turns into success. And the Bucks have definitely been doing that so far this year. I think with the addition of Drew Holiday has really helped them, just that mindset of, okay, a lot of these shots we're taking, yeah, they're pretty good, but how about if we look that one more pass, we're going to have a wide open guy for a 3, and you got to play probability and odds at this point. So the odds are that wide open 3 is going to go into the basket is probably more likely than the shot they were going to take prior to that. So I really like that trend I'm seeing from the Bucks so far. Hopefully they can keep that going, and I think that'd be huge for them in the playoffs for sure. But yeah, going back to Dante, he's really just let the game come to him since he's been able to make shots this season consistently. I think that has opened up his game a lot. Teams are going to start noticing that, and when they're looking at studying film prior to playing the Bucks, they're going to be like, okay, well, before Dante used to be a guy, like when he was shooting 33% from 3 last year, even 25 his rookie year, they were like, all right, we'll live with that. If he's wide open, we're not going to worry about him that much. We'll let him take the shot, and we'll live with it if he makes it. But now, that he's absolutely lit it up to start the season, I think teams are going to be more inclined to get up on him a little more and make sure he's in their game plan from a defensive perspective. So I think that now that he's been kind of just letting the game come to him and be like, okay, well, I obviously want to get shots when I can, but when there are times where guys are really pressing me, I've got to maybe pump fake drive to the hole and dish it to Giannis like he did in that first game, which was just fantastic for one of his 9 assists. But again, just knowing that and being a smart player like Dante is, guys who play for Villanova are known to have really high basketball IQs. Jay Wright is an outstanding coach. and it definitely has translated into the NBA when you look at a guy like a Kyle Lowry, for example, who uh, Bucks fans, including myself, don't like the guy for obvious reasons. But I mean, you can't deny that he's a very very smart player, and he always knows when or he always knows that he's got to make the right play, whether it's for himself or for his teammates. So I really like to see that from Dante, and he is just such an important cog for us this season. Obviously, with thoughts that he was going to be traded to the Sacramento Kings, I think that lit a fire under him a little bit, and he has totally panned out so far this season. And if the Bucks want to reach the finals, like we all think they can, Dante is going to be a very big piece into that equation. So really like what I'm seeing from Dante, not only as a shot maker, but a playmaker. And then one other positive that I thought was great coming from the first game was DJ Augustine is really starting to find his role. I did note in a prior episode that I thought he was just struggling to find his way a little bit. He's been in the league for many seasons, and he hasn't switched teams in a while, so it's just a new thing for him. He's a veteran player, though. He's smart. He's great with the ball. I mean, he's a true prototypical point guard. So he just needed to find his role and know that they're not expecting him to try and score 20 points every game. Like, just let the game come to him. Like I said with Dante earlier, make plays for your teammates, and when you're open, take that shot, because we know he can make it. 3 for 3 from 3-point land in the first game. 11 points total for him, 6 assists. I mean, in about 20 minutes, that's absolutely fantastic from a box score perspective. And if we can get anything like that from him consistently, I mean, watch out for this bench unit, because DJ Augustine, especially in the pick and roll, like when he's got the ball and, like, let's say someone comes to set a pick on him, he makes the right plays, and he's just so poised with the ball and is a great passer for a little guy like himself, and he just makes plays. So that's what he's got to do for this team. I think he's starting to realize that, and he's got to be excited to be on this team. So any scoring production we get from him is fantastic. I mean, 3 for 3 from 3-point, you'll take that any day. He's got a pure shot. Obviously, being 5'11", he has a hard time getting the shot off, but when he does, I mean, a lot of times those open shots for him are going to fall. So really like what I saw from him, and especially when he's running pick and rolls with Giannis or Middleton or Portis or Brook. I mean, he's already made some great plays, and I expect that to continue. And it also showed as well in Game 2 against the Pistons as well. And then one other thing I really liked from the first game was Brook Lopez's rim protecting is starting to show up a little bit more. He only had 1 block in the game, but he definitely affected a lot of shots at the rim, and that's all he's got to do. I mean, he's a very, very important piece to our defensive scheme, and if he's not being able to block shots or affect shots at the rim, the Bucks are going to give up a lot of points and lose a lot of games. I mean, he's been very important to us the past 2 seasons, rim protecting. So I like to see that step up, and obviously he's an older player, so maybe he's just been trying to acclimate himself to this truncated off season. So overall, Brook Lopez has looked a lot better defensively, and that's going to be huge for us. I mean, obviously with some positives, there are some negatives here. So one thing in particular, I thought Jordan Nwora really struggled with his minutes in Game 1 of this 2-game matinee. He just looks lost out there at times. I mean, I know he is not going to force shots up too much and try and make stupid plays, like kind of looking back at like a Sterling Brown, for example. It seemed like he was just trying to do everything he possibly could when he was out there sometimes, and it's just like, dude, you're coming off the bench, you're not getting many minutes, like, just play your role, know what your role is, make the right pass, don't force things and try and do too much. I mean, obviously, being a second-round pick like he was probably just trying to prove himself a little bit so he could, get a decent contract after his 3 years with the Bucks. But again, Nwora looks like he's not like that. I mean, he's a steady player and just knows what his role is. But I think, especially from a defensive perspective, I think he looks a little lost at times. And I'll obviously talk about him in Game 2 because he had a great step back 3 as well as a step back performance. Kind of just walked right into that one. But Yeah, I mean, I just think that it's going to take time for him. He's not a top 10 pick in the draft where he's got this freakish athletic ability that can kind of mask a lot of the deficiencies that he has. He's not super athletic. I mean, he moves his feet fairly well for a guy of his size on the defensive end, but I mean, he's got to get stronger. He's got to just know that the game in the NBA is sped up a lot and just understand what he needs to do out there. And I think he can make an impact. And I think he will play consistent minutes towards the latter end of the season. But again, just got to pump the brakes a little bit and just know that he is a work in progress. Um, so some other negatives here. I mean, I thought that the Bucks just kind of had a lack of energy. I mean, the Pistons were making a lot of shots, some tough shots at that. But again, I think that the Bucks, they'd get that big 20, 25 point lead, and then they just go up there and just jack up threes. It's like, what are you guys doing? Like, you gotta don't take your foot off the gas. Like, you gotta just send teams home sometimes and like still play offense. And like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, oh, now we got a 20-point lead. We're just gonna shoot a three with 14 seconds in the shot clock. That's not even a good shot. And then like you just slowly see the Pistons start to make shots, get a little confidence, and then bam, it's already like a 12-point lead at that point. It just I don't like how they do that. It's like, okay, the 20-point lead doesn't mean you can just do whatever the hell you want. I don't. I've definitely noticed that with the Bucks. I mean, you can look back even at the second game against the Heat. They didn't have that big of a lead towards the end of the game, but still, just getting a little too comfortable and jacking up stupid threes when you're up 20 points just doesn't make sense. So I thought they just had a lack of energy on the defensive end as well when they'd get those big leads. It's like you still got to get up on the three-point shooters and not just give them easy opportunities to make shots. And I think that's what they were doing. And once a team gets confident, they're going to start knocking down some tougher shots, contested shots, that even though we're playing good defense, they're still going to fall. Got guys like a Wayne Ellington who lit it up in the second game, especially. Sadiq Bey as well was starting to make shots. I mean, you can't just let these teams just crawl back into games when we want to rest our starters and, get some of those bench guys like a Jordan Nwora more minutes so that we can see what we have in them and trying to get a more defined role for those players. So I think that was just the main negative for me, is that the Bucks just need to stay with their game plan throughout the entirety of the game. It's a 48-minute game, not a 36-minute game, not a 30-minute game. We just got to keep our foot on the gas and really send teams home and not have these games lingering in the fourth quarter like we've seen in the past. So those are my main takeaways from Game 1. Now we're going to segue to Game 2, where the Bucks beat the Detroit Pistons 130-115. Very similar score, 125-115. Second game, 130-115. Giannis coming in with 24 points. And then you've got Middleton with 19 and Lopez with 17. Pretty good performance from the Bucks here. I thought, again, the lack of energy came into play with them. You did have Blake Griffin return to the Detroit lineup. I thought he looked pretty bad, to be honest. I know he's dealing with some sort of injury right now, and they're managing his minutes, but I thought he looked slow. He looked injured. He looked just uninspiring at all, and he didn't really make an impact. I honestly thought he made a negative impact for most of the game. He was jacking up threes in the beginning of the game, not even close on most of them. Was 0 for 5 from the field at one point in time. I mean, he's not looking great, but regardless, the Bucks still take this one. Like I said before, I was going to talk about Jordan Nwora, and he's my main positive from this game, is that he can make shots. I mean, I've never denied that the guy can't make shots. I mean, he proved it. That step back three he hit was nasty. I mean, it was just a smooth move, and he was in control the whole time and just drilled it. I mean, 3 for 3 from the three-point line. I think he was 4 for 5 from the field altogether with 11 points. He also had a really nice forced jump ball on defense in, I think it was the first half, where he was moving his feet really well and got his hand up there when I think it was Blake Griffin took a shot and ended up forcing a jump ball, which the Bucks did win. So he's got the ability. Like I said, I never doubted his ability or anything like that. But it's kind of crazy to me where like one game against the Pistons, I thought he was pretty pathetic, and then game two he looked pretty good. So it's like a lot of things can change from game to game, and specifically from Jordan Noir's perspective in these two games, I thought that. He really stepped it up, and if he can make shots like that, I mean, there's no doubt he's going to get minutes. It's just more so, like I said, him trying to find his role and get used to the speed of the game because it's a lot faster than college basketball. There's a lot more athletic players. There's not many scrubs in the NBA like there is in college. So, again, he can light it up. I mean, the dude and he knows it. Like, he's definitely confident. I thought it was pretty interesting when Marcus was talking about his shooting motion, that it is very low. Like, it looks like he's kind of like gathering his shot, like right here. A lot of times you see like guys kind of gather their shot more by their shoulders, at shoulder height. I mean, but he definitely was more towards his chest and rib area, which I thought was very interesting. And but he's got a quick release and it's smooth, and those shots go in. I mean, it was pretty cool to see him play well and finally like have his like signature moment, I guess you could call it, in his first like. This was his second game with impactful minutes, as the broadcast pointed out in the second game. Like the first game, he got in like early in the second quarter, and like other than that, he was just playing garbage time minutes. So like having the injuries that we've had with Connaughton being out, Craig being out, that's definitely opened up a little bit of minutes for Jordan Nwora. So I thought, when you look at it from a two-game perspective, I thought he was pretty flat in terms of progression. But again, we saw a lot of positives. We saw some negatives. And as long as we're still seeing positives, he's going to be factored into the mix a lot more this season. And that shot is absolutely gorgeous. So I'm hoping to see him get more of an opportunity, and I understand why his nickname is the walking bucket, because that dude can just light it up off the bench. Just some other positives here. I mean, again, DJ Augustine, 2 great games in a row for him. It was really nice to see, because I thought Drew Holiday, this was the first time he's really struggled on the offensive end. He had a couple plays where he just looked like he couldn't hold on to the ball. He had one where he had a pass. He cut into the lane. It's in the paint, and he had a pass to him, and it was right there, and he just couldn't hold on to it. And again, he had a sloppy turnover, which I haven't seen that from him all year. Obviously, you guys all know I'm a huge fan. Definitely a Drew Holiday guy, but I thought, he came back to earth a little bit on the offensive end. I'm not concerned whatsoever. I mean, he still had 10 points and still had a positive impact on the game, and his defense is always going to be there, and that's definitely showed so far this season, his first with the Bucks. But, there's going to be times where guys are off, and Drew Holiday did not have it on the offensive end. It was nice to see through these 2 games as well that Giannis, he's been driving to the lane, and just those shots haven't been falling for him. Those jump hooks, the little layups, or just little floaters have not been falling for him. But these last 2 games they have, and you could definitely tell his confidence was up. Starting in both of these games, he got shots to fall right away. Not necessarily free throws, because he was pretty putrid from the free throw line last night. Like I said, got to live with the ups and downs there. But again, you finally start to see some of those shots fall for him. He did shoot pretty well he was 8 for 15 from the field, but he really started well shooting mid-range. He had a nice turnaround shot in game 2, also hit an early 3-pointer. It was one of those where he just dribbled up and took it, and I don't know if I'll ever be a fan of those shots, to be honest. Even if they go in, I just don't really get it. He takes, I think he was 1 for 5 from 3 in the second game, and I don't want him taking 5 3-pointers. I can live with 3, but I just think 5's too much. I mean, obviously we want him to get more consistent from the 3-point line, but especially when we're starting to play better games like we will coming up here, I think he's got to improve his shot selection, and I think he has from a inside the paint perspective. He only had 1 charge in the second game, which was just stupid. Again, just bull rushing into Jeremy Grant. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like it's just he's just forcing things too many times, and like I get that he's trying to use his physical dominance and impact the game that way, but it's just frustrating sometimes to see that happen. But again, um, he's starting to make better plays, and he had a really interesting comment after game one against the Pistons, is that uh, he's got to realize that he's got to stop being selfish sometimes, and that he needs to just let the game come to him. Like I was saying with Dante, let the game come to him, and make plays for your other teammates. And he's definitely been doing that more. Like when he sometimes he'll try to drive to the hole, and maybe he'll get past one guy, but then here comes the wall. He's been making those passes, and it's been showing from an offensive efficiency perspective. But I think it's going to take him a little bit of time just to really get into that mindset. But so far he has been, especially these last two games. So I'm very encouraged there. And more, I mean, this is obviously a takeaway from the game, is Chris Middleton's shooting has just been unbelievable to start the season. He was 3 for 3 from the 3-point line. And that one three he hit where he had Jeremy Grant's hand in his face, I mean, he was just like doing that little like dribble, like kind of like James Harden move at the top, and he just jacked it up and just drained it. I mean, my jaw dropped at that point. I was like, that was such a tough shot, and he just made it look easy. I mean, if he is shooting like he has been shooting so far this series, already in that 50, 40, 90 mark, I know it's early on in the season. He missed his first free throw of the season. He was 20 for 20 from the line until he missed one towards the end there. But he's already on track for the 50, 40, 90. Again, if you don't know what that is, 50 stands for your field goal percentage. So if you're above 50%, you qualify. And then the 40s for 3-point percentage. So if you make 40% or more of your threes, you qualify. And then the 90% is the free throw percentage. So if you're above 90% from the free throw line, or at 90, then you qualify. If you have all those three things, you're labeled as a 50, 40, 90 player for that season. Malcolm Brogdon did it one year with the Bucks, his last season with the Bucks. And Middleton was so close last year, so close. He just missed out on it. I think it was from the field goal, the 50%. He was just a little off, which was upsetting. But I mean, obviously it's early on. The Bucks are 5-3, 8 games in. But I mean, so far he is lighting it up. Coming into the second game against the Pistons, he was shooting 49% from 3-point line. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, he's just some of the shots he makes just like. I don't understand how some Bucks fans like get so frustrated sometimes. Like I do somewhat, because like he is inconsistent at times, but I mean last year he was great for us, and he's at some huge playoff games. And this year he's come out super strong, and I'm hoping that continues. I mean, the inconsistency is there for any player at times, but I mean, Bucks fans gotta appreciate how good Middleton is and just how important he is to this team, and how great of a shooter he really is. He's just been absolutely amazing to start the season, and I've been really excited about that. One other positive as well is that Brook Lopez, 4 for 7 from the 3-point line. I think and you guys will notice this, that when he is set, if he takes a catch and shoot 3-pointer, a lot of times they're going in, especially at the corner. And he can hit them deep as well, but towards the top of the 3-point line. But when he's set and gets that pass to him, a lot of the times he makes it. But if he's dribbling at all, or trying to, like shield off his defender a little bit and then put it up, I mean, those aren't going in a lot of the time. And he had one that when he got the ball and dribbled it a few times and shot it, and I just thought to myself, it's like, I feel like every time he does that, they don't go in. But when he gets those catch and shoot ones, he makes them a lot of the time, and he's just got to understand that. I think he's been really letting the offensive side of his game come to him a little bit more. 17 points for him. I mean, 6 for 9 from the field was great. I mean, if he can, anytime he scores in double digits, especially around that 15-point per game mark, the Bucks win a lot of those games. I mean, he can put up 30 on any given night. He definitely has that ability, which I think almost all of the Bucks starters do. Maybe Dante isn't quite there yet, but I just think he needs to let the offensive side of his game come to him a little bit and not try and force things. He's going to get his opportunities. I mean, anywhere from like 8 to 10 shots a game is pretty solid for him. But again, I think when he just understands that he shouldn't be forcing shots and that sort of thing, that he's so much more effective for us on offense. And when he's effective on offense, he's got to get 30-plus minutes a game because his defense is so important to this Bucks team as well. We've obviously seen, Dante regress a little bit from the three-point line the last 2 games. I mean, there was no way he was going to stay on that above 60% mark from the three-point line. I mean, we're going to have to live with some down games from him, but again, if he just understands his role and knows to when he should take those shots and when he should drive and make plays for his teammates, I think that's all we need from him. So again, I want to thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you can stay up to date on all my future content as it is posted. And again, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at downtown_brown33 on Twitter and at downtown_brown on Instagram. So thank you guys very much, and looking forward here to the next couple games. The Bucks face off against the Utah Jazz tomorrow night. It's going to be a good test for them. I've been wanting to see some better opponents on the schedule here just to get a true test of especially how our defense has been playing. Because I have not been sold on the defensive end for the Bucks to start the season. So good test with Utah. They're not a great three-point shooting team. I mean, Conley can make shots. Mitchell can make shots. Bogdanovich, a certified Bucks killer. Bojan Bogdanovich, that is, not Bogdan. They can all make shots. And they're not as efficient as some other players like a Chris Middleton are. But you never know what you're going to get from those guys, and the Bucks usually have pretty good games against the Jazz. I mean, Giannis last year scoring 50 on a Monday night. I was at that game. It was probably one of the best Bucks games I've ever been to, excluding the playoffs. I mean, it was just an awesome game, and the Bucks usually have great battles. Giannis going at Gobert. If you guys don't remember a couple seasons ago, Giannis absolutely posterizing Gobert. Look it up on Twitter. Giannis dunking on Rudy Gobert. It's probably the first video to pop up. I think it was the last season we were at the Bradley Center, so the 2017-18 season, and he just absolutely crossed Thabo Sefolosha, who's supposed to be a great defender, and just slammed on Gobert, and he totally gave him the mean mug, and it was just amazing. So I would highly recommend checking that out if you haven't seen it already. Going to be a great matchup, and the Bucks also play Saturday night against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They've been pretty hot to start the season. Darius Garland, a young guard for them, looks like he's probably going to be out for that game. So he's been playing pretty well. I do have him on my fantasy basketball team as well, which I've been keeping a little bit more of an eye on him. So I think he's going to be out for that game. But the Cavs have been playing pretty well. Colin Sexton has started the season tremendously. And you've got like a Drummond and Osman and other guys who can do some things with a young team in Cleveland there. So going to be 2 tough games for the Bucks. Can't wait to see how they perform, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much.